a while.
No problem. Will you be able to tell when it's online?
Okay, we are in now.
Hi, good evening. Hi, Kyra. Hi, good evening. So I jump straight into it. Kyra, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, so
open.
I'll go ahead and start and maybe do a quick introduction at the beginning. Then we can start the app building, which I'm most excited about. Sounds
Okay,
good?
sounds good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so very quick. Hello and good evening, everyone. It's 10:01 p.m. now. Just want to maybe take a moment to just say a quick word of thanks to the other person who's on the call with me, Kyra from Finerty Academy. So thanks a lot for this opportunity to come together online to share with everybody here about how to use some of the tools I'm really excited about, Claude in particular. Of course, also just want to ask you to, if you find this useful, please, as usual, do the like and sharing. Like the video, it helps us to actually get to more people. And also, of course, share it with your friends if you have others, whether they are your colleagues in your team or they are people who you're working with in other contexts, who will find something like this useful. So almost every night at 10 p.m., we will be running this live stream. Myself, I'll be coming on Mondays. Today's the first day we're running it. And I'll see you guys in 1 week's time, next Monday. And today I'm starting to talk about the retirement app. But other than that, we're going to be building many different apps over the next 4 weeks. Other than, of course, app building, which is what I personally am very excited to be doing. There are other topics that I won't spoil the story here, but I won't spoil. There's no spoilers here. But next few days, you will see almost every night at 10 p.m. to do a live stream and come in. If you don't know where the link is, if you can't find it after you see this video, you can actually join the Finerty Academy Telegram group. That will be very, very useful for you to be able to get not just information about the live stream, also about other events that they may be, other training courses that might be of use to you. I know they've got some really very interesting courses along the way that you can find useful for your context as well. Okay, so with that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly maybe just address sort of the big elephant in the room. The time now is 10:03 p.m. I've actually been spending the last 1 hour or so trying to recover because the main app that I've been using which is not ChatGPT, not from OpenAI, but in particular is from Anthropic's Claude, which I think you'll find is one of the more useful apps around. Other than the fact that they are having a bit of a moment right now and there's a global outage from earlier this evening, I think about 7:30 or so. Nevertheless, what I want to show you today is that, and I'm going to start sharing my screen. What I want to show you today is something that you don't really just have to stick to Claude. I think Claude is still the best app to use for purposes like this. But in preparation for this session, I've actually switched around to use OpenAI's or ChatGPT, as most of you know, OpenAI's Codex, right? And I'll very briefly explain what's Claude, what's ChatGPT, not everything is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just that conversational interface. Claude is just that conversational interface. But when you go one step deeper, when you start using the coding apps like OpenAI's Codex, okay, or you use Claude's Cowork or Claude's the coding app, they call it just Claude Code. When you use those, you unlock so many more tools, right? So with that, let me just present my screen and I will start sharing maybe from the slides very quickly so that you get a good sense of what are the possibilities, what are some of the limitations that as a financial advisor, you really have to be watching out for. Okay, so with that, let me share my screen. What you will see coming on is basically my correction, because I was going to talk about Claude Code specifically, but the app that I have built, at least the first version, is actually just using Codex. Okay, I'm going to run through principles. They are not meant to be something that I don't intend for you to be able to follow very closely right now, partly because until 5 minutes ago, Claude was actually still down. It seems like they have slowly managed to restore the system. That's the fantastic thing about some of these larger companies. It's that they expect an outage. When that happens, it comes back online quite fast. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is firstly the principles of building such an app. What should you think about before you actually go about doing an app like this? Why should you even think of building an app like that? Okay, it's a practical guide. you do not need to have formal coding background. Myself, I've been doing this for about the last 2 months or so. So I've kind of gotten a little bit more technical. But the reality is that I did not start with formal coding background. I still don't have a software engineering related certification. So definitely something on my checklist. Once I retire one day, I would love to get more certificates in that kind of regard. But here, you do not need that formal coding experience to do what you are going to see next. Okay, just very quickly, just going to go through some of the ideas here. Firstly, I think my own thinking as to why financial advisors should build their own tools is because there are real limitations to what you already have. Now, a couple of things. Number one, Excel limitation. Excel, you may have spent some time to build up an Excel spreadsheet with macros and everything. That grows, and a lot of times the formula errors sometimes go undetected. So you kind of become an expert in that particular Excel spreadsheet. And if any of those calculations don't work, then of course, then you have to retweak it. You have to tweak your Excel spreadsheet. And in this day and age, especially in the age of AI, it's kind of hard to just stick to an Excel spreadsheet that breaks so fast, and it takes a lot of effort to compile. Online calculators don't really give you all the assumptions well. Of course, some will explain a very long articles, and some you might see later will then end a very long financial advisory article with online calculators, right? So online calculators like that may be useful, but you can't really audit what you can't see, right? Here with some of these coding tools, one of the big problem is also a black box risk. The difference is I can talk to this app that I built. I can use Claude Code and ask for specific steps. Like, can you explain to me what are your steps in calculating this? And then maybe in them demonstrating their steps, I start to realize, hey, the reason why you calculated this and I got a different answer is because you were basing it on earlier information, right? As the information evolves over the years, you end up having to maybe update your knowledge as an expert, but not just yourself as an expert, but also when you are in the financial advisory sector, sometimes you get information that's a bit earlier than the general audience. And of course, if the news is not well understood out there, then of course what you have as a tool will also be more limited, right? So this black box risk is real, even when you use AI tools. Understand it, but don't let it hold you back. Other than that, client expectations as well. I just got a message from a friend who just informed me that he's also on this live stream. Thanks a lot. Hello. So let me continue. Client expectations is the next one I want to talk about. Now, nowadays, clients have this higher expectations in terms of personalization, right? I think this is only normal, and this is a mega trend that we have been moving towards for many years as technology gets better, as now we have AI, as hyper personalization becomes more normal. People want to say what you create, is it really, they will ask, is it really suited to my particular situation? And you want to be able to provide that kind of personalized projections. You may also want to provide your own perspective. So maybe you have a different way at looking at how investments should be allocated. That's very different from what someone will find out there. And that is your proprietary sort of advantage, right? So all that, you want to be able to put it into an app like that. You want to use, in my mind, AI as a coding partner. AI as a coding partner doesn't mean that you have to learn how to code. They will write all the things for you. But importantly is you decide the logic, the assumptions, and you govern it. Right? You define all these things, and then you oversee. So instead of having a very complicated Excel spreadsheet, you now have AI as your tool that creates what you think. You're taking your mind and you're putting it into a tool like that. And ultimately, this can even be your competitive differentiator, your methodology, your brand. Okay? And that's a very big difference, right? Own the assumptions, you own the audit trail as well. I won't go into that kind of details, but when you use something like Claude Code or Codex, you can also say, I want you to maintain very good audit logs. So whatever I put in over time, I want to be able to export it later as a PDF file, Excel file, whatever format, right? So that allows you to have some control and you can comply with the rules better. Okay. What I'm going to do today, I'm just going to run through very quickly. This is basically just the 4 sort of like steps. I want you to be able to upload PDFs, whether is it PDFs, 1 or 2 PDFs or multiple. For today's purpose, I also again use Claude. to create mock documents. Later, I'll show you the fake documents. So nothing official here. Nothing official, meaning no official bank statements. I'm just using a mock-up to demonstrate tonight. Of course, when you are doing it in your own setting, you will use this 𝐂𝐥𝐚𝐮𝐝 work, which works in your laptop. So in that way, you don't have to worry about the information going into the cloud, going to Anthropic or whatnot. Now, when you are using this for a lot of personal information, a lot of PII, you should, firstly, the alarm bells should have rang in your mind. I've got a lot of personal information. I need to make sure that that information doesn't go out there. It doesn't get caught in, or worse still, is being circulated on the dark web, or perhaps the information is being used for training of apps, right, of AI models. If you don't want any of that, the simple solution is simply to get the enterprise grade software. If you're getting enterprise Claude, one of the selling point for them is that they never train their AI models on your whatever you submit, right? But suffice to say, if that's not the case, it's still okay. You can use some of the features like 𝐂𝐥𝐚𝐮 work, and the way they do it is they work on your private device, and then they encrypt some content, they send it to their cloud, they process it there, then they send back the encrypted information. So along the way, they will not be losing the information. They won't be losing the encryption as well. That gets a bit more technical. I don't fully 100% understand that, but I understand that if you really genuinely need to have that high level of carefulness in terms of the content you're looking at, if your client is unable to give you permission to upload the files, an app like that may not be useful. So those different scenarios, when you understand it, don't avoid using AI, but use it intelligently. Maybe you redact the information early. Maybe you cut and paste the information that you need. Maybe they just want to talk about their CPF amount for OA and SA. So limit the information, and then you extract the data. If you're using an AI app, which I will show you soon, the data will also be deterministically extracted. So that's another very technical term, but it basically speaks to the problem of hallucination. Now, hallucination is a feature and not a bug in AI, right? Because all AI, the GPT, right, generated what does GPT stand for again? The transformer, right? The process, right? Generative pre-trained transformer. The pre-training cannot be by virtue of the way it is designed. And here we're talking about the science really, really far down the line, upstream, right? The way that thing works, right, is based on a lossy format. Lossy versus lossless. Someone explained this to me recently, but essentially what it means is it won't capture all the information perfectly. It'll capture a best approximation, like a digital camera. A digital camera will not capture 100%. If your pixels are not enough, it cannot capture everything. It give you the rough shape. As your technology gets better, your photography skills are the same, but the photograph looks clearer, because now your technology is gotten better. That's the difference between a lossy versus lossless. So it's not a perfect capture, but because it's not perfect, every time you repeat it over 99% times 99% times 99%, it will start to be lesser and lesser, less good. So that's called probabilistic generation. Here, if you're using an app, you're creating an app with AI, but the app itself is deterministic, which means that it will extract information using this thing regex, regex base formatting, right? It looks for specific like phone number, like how much is the CPF OA amount. So all those things means that you're not dealing with AI directly. You're using computer language that is very, very deterministic. Extract that, and then you calculate. Now, none of the calculation, which you will see later, right? Maybe I can show that the app later. The app itself, I use AI to create the app. The app itself is not generating based on AI. It's generating based on logic and code. So it is not going to be hallucinating as much. Other than that, other things like the manual override, you can of course always change the figures. Corpus projection, is this more the technical term which I didn't understand. I simply use AI to create it for me. And then I went to learn, is this corpus projection? I asked Google, what is it? It basically is the total saving required to maintain your desired lifestyle after retirement, calculated by adjusting current expenses for inflation over your working years and factoring in life expectancy. So basically is how much do I need to save in order to live the same life I am living today. All that is basically just to think about this retirement advisory app. Okay, of course, some other benchmarks like CPF amount, saving rate, how much is the bank rate going to fluctuate over time? How do I use insurance? How do I build a nest egg of 3 to 6 months? All those things. So when I was building this slide, when I was building the app, I gave a very broad sort of instruction on what I want to do. Later, I'll show you my instruction. When you look at the instruction, it looks nothing like the app I have. It looks nothing like this deck of slide, which actually is very well formatted. I'm using something called Gamma, GAMMA.app to create this slide. Later, I can show you if there's any interest. We'll find a way to see whether we can look at the comments and everything. But I'm using AI to create the slides. The slide itself is vetted by me. So therefore, it is not going to hallucinate, right? It's not going to give you fake information. It's information that I agree and then I explain to you. So that's the same approach that we'll have for this app. Now, going a little bit faster, this app here, I have these few things which I mentioned, CPF benchmarks. This will change over time. You can, of course, say that, okay, we just base it on today's 2025 figures or, projection 2030. What's it going to be like? Saving rate, all that, insurance cap. All these are numbers that, like I said earlier on, you can customize to your own personal sort of your style of advising your customers, your clients, right? Then this is very technical already, but it basically is just the 3 part. You have a core logic. You have a core logic of what you think is going to be the numbers that you need. How does the numbers work together? There'll be a processing layer. And then you want to present it. You want to show it somehow, right? The UI here, I've used a Streamlit. It's partly because I was using ChatGPT to create it. So ChatGPT chose Streamlit for me. If you're using a different tool, you're using Claude, then Claude will tell you a different tool. In fact, Claude also can create the app in your computer itself without having to use Streamlit or any other software. Okay. Let's very quickly talk about this Claude prompt. This prompt here is just saying I want to generate an app. It's very clear about the work that you need to do. So for those who have not seen a full prompt before, a prompt basically has a part that says what to do, then has a very big context window. Context meaning like in the context of doing something, right? So these are things, just dump it in. And then very important is what not to do. So what to do at the top, what not to do at the bottom, and then the requirements. The requirements here does 2 jobs. One is it tells you what are the contexts, what are the things like CPF, UOB bank, payslip, insurance, DBS bank. So those are the things you just throw it in. It doesn't have to be very tidy. But here you can see that also from the requirements, I get another idea, which is what is this meant for, right? So it's very clear. It's meant for an advisory app. This is the purpose I'm trying to generate. So once you have all these parts, it makes it a pretty good prompt. Later we can look at my prompt, not as good. After you've done this already, there's a whole process here. Basically, you're going to iterate, and I will demonstrate in a bit. You basically will take that prompt, put it in, you get the first version almost immediately. Last time in the past, after you have a great idea, you explain to your software engineer, or if you have a development team, they will go back a few days, they come back with you, okay, this is version 1. But then you'll be like, oh no, that version 1 does not look anything like what I want. Okay, or it looks perfect, then that's the best case scenario, which rarely happens. When it doesn't look like what you want, you come back, okay, I want this button to move this way. So then that will be another few more weeks before you finally get it. Today with Claude, with Codex, it's instantaneous. Okay, some of the formulas that will be there. Of course, these are just, again, I did not have to come up with these formulas. I just say I want this app to be able to do this job of helping people to run through scenario planning. Okay. I will maybe move a little faster here, but these are just things that, in terms of governance and compliance, you want to think about it a little bit. But AI is building the code for you, but at the end of the day, you are responsible with how you handle the PDFs, how do you handle the app itself. Do you actually understand what's going on with the app? Your due diligence you still have to do. Okay. I want to finish here, to stop here, because I really want to now move to show you guys how I actually do the app. So I'm going to now move to another window. Let me get a moment. So like I said earlier on, because Claude went down, so what I did was that I actually started using ChatGPT. So I'm going to show you the ChatGPT version, which, okay, let me think about it. Sorry, let me switch back. I think because ChatGPT gave me one version, it wasn't fantastic. let me show you the ChatGPT version of the app first. Okay, so this is the ChatGPT Streamlit version of the app. It has everything I need. It basically was able to upload all these mock documents. Mock documents were fake documents that I created earlier in the day. For this particular person, I created a payslip. As you can see, Techstar Solutions Private Limited. I don't think this is a real company. It shouldn't be, because I asked for a fake payslip, everything to be mock up, right? So numbers are all inside there. Safe Wealth investment portfolio. So again, all the numbers are inside there. A screenshot of a bank statement. And you can see at the bottom, it all says it's a sample document just for demonstration purpose, right? So with that in mind, let's say I will select all these files, upload it. Okay, after uploading, it will then generate the information I need. So this is a finished product. This is how the product looked at the end of the whole generation. You can then do things like, okay, let's say you expect inflation over the next few years to go up a little bit more, up to 8%, 0.08 is 8%. So this person is at risk. But let's say we want to bring down their inflation. We expect somehow inflation is only like 2%. I think this is Federal Reserve's happy situation. If the Federal Reserve gets 2% every year for inflation, they're going to be very happy. Let's say somehow investors expect 12%, right? So readiness ratio is 26. This is amazing, right? All these things are basically the ways that you can adjust along the way. And let's say something more realistic where the inflation is 2%, expected annual return is just a little bit more than that. Let's say 4%, double of that. You can then get this really good readiness ratio, and it's very useful. Immediately you can see that this person is on track, right? And they're good to retire. So that what they require and what they projected. So all these things were created automatically. And how was it created? It was created because I had a folder earlier today, which I'm going to try and show you. I created should put this on the larger screen. And let me just turn off the dark mode so it's a bit easier to read for everyone. Okay, so this is a prompt that was generated, right? I generated this prompt by asking, I believe this one is ChatGPT to create it. So I just simply explained my idea in a very messy way. And then after a series of back and forth questions, it actually created this big prompt for me, right? It will, now the AI apps are really amazing. They can tell you everything you don't even think of, and then you just need to check the work, right? It then also tells you about required app behavior. This is something that I did not read in carefully, but I had an idea because I was explaining this. Remember the formula that we saw earlier? All that, you don't have to worry about it at the planning phase. You just throw your ideas in, but later towards the end or midway, you check that this is what you want. Okay, so all that looks very messy. There's also things like technical constraints, all that. Don't worry about all this. Generally, all these things are not things you need to know, right? I'm going to close that. So let me see if I can show you the app once more. So if you remember this app here, it was able to show you mock documents, but for the purpose of today, I also created 3 personas, right? So persona number 3, David Chen, is meant to be a bit more of a high income, high net worth individual. So with that in mind, their needs are going to be higher, but because they have more to invest, similarly, you can use that as a way to discuss. Maybe they can invest more aggressively at the beginning of their career, beginning of their life. Let's say for someone who is closer to retirement, they're 55. So how much they have set aside, is it still on track? Let's say they want to retire sooner, all that, you can actually adjust here. Right? So life expectancy, let's say they think that they are going to have 88, very, very nice number, right? Retirement, let's say they want to retire at 45. 50 is the minimum apparently. Okay, minimum, how ready are they? So if you want to retire at 55, current age is 49. All these numbers you can adjust, and you can see the numbers change instantaneously. Right, so let's say retirement age is 60. Yeah, way more realistic, right? So all these numbers, as you're talking with your client, you can say, let's play around with your retirement age, right? If you retire earlier, how ready are you? 1.7 on track. But if your current age is 50, you want to retire at 51. kind of scraping it, and all you need is inflation to go up a little bit more over the years, you're going to be at risk. So these are things that you can use the app. And this is, in my mind, this is the not as good app. Okay, I'm going to clean up my desktop now. And because Claude has come back online, let me show you. Claude was going down. It was having a lot of elevator errors, but they have managed to fix it. We were seeing this problem just 2-3 hours ago. I'm going to show you now the app that I would prefer to actually work with, which is with Claude. Now, earlier today, I was creating this chat here. Okay, let me just close that side. And the prompt that you need is actually really very simple. Let me see if the seems like they may be still slowing down a little bit. So earlier yesterday rather, I was creating this thing. Let me just come back here. Okay, so in preparation for today's session, I was basically using Claude. Claude doesn't usually do this, which is why I'm a bit thrown off. It still looks like their server has taken a while to refresh and it's still not working. But perhaps let me show you 𝐶oWork. Okay, it's gone now. It's completely gone now. So I'm going to stop here with Claude 𝐶oWork. I think what I'll do is, let me see if I can show you the app that was created from Claude. Open with. It looks like it's not able to open. Let's see if I can open it with Safari. No, it's not able to open. Okay, then I think with that, I will pause my screen. Kara, I'm going to pause the share for a while. I'm going to try and see whether Claude can come back online. I'm going to reset my Claude.
Okay.
Let me reopen the app. And perhaps I will reopen my codex as well. It happens, so it's important to actually have multiple apps ready in case you need to, do this coding. But actually, frankly, the truth is also for someone who's coding all the time, I found that when I was not being, because the app actually went down, when I was not actively coding, it was kind of relaxing for me for a short while, because I was not using AI all the time, right? Okay, we have some questions in the chat. Maybe I will let Kara, is there a way for me to look at the questions? I can't see them in the chat here.
Okay, it's in the YouTube chat.
Okay, YouTube chat. Let me see, is there a way I can access it? Do you want to put it on?
Yeah, maybe I can help you to phrase the question.
Sure, no problem.
We have a student, an audience. He asked, can this be done on the free version, or is it a must to subscribe to Claude?
Claude, I believe you need to subscribe to Claude, but let me find the info for you. 𝐶oWork. Okay, the one that I think is the most important one is you need to use Claude 𝐶oWork, which is this middle button here. If it works today, just really unlucky that it's not working now. But if it works, you will see magic happen almost in front of you. I believe you need the pro version, minimal the $30 per month. I don't think it's the free version. Let me just double check that. My understanding is that you cannot use the free version anymore. So the free version for most of the apps, right, what they can do is they allow you to do a chat. So you can talk to it, but you cannot create files. Okay, let me just fact check, because the last time Claude 𝐶oWork was only for the max plan. Then suddenly even the pro plan, which is $20 US, 30 Sing. Yes, that's the case. So everything in free plus you get 𝐶oWork if you're on the pro plan. But the free one, you really get to do very minimal things. You get to generate code, but you can't connect that to an actual app. You just need a few more steps, and then you can create files, execute code, but it's a bit harder to do it. But it looks like they're slowly introducing it to the free level.
Yeah. So Hao Jun, can I say that if let's say we want to build a retirement planner app, so we do need to subscribe to at least a pro plan?
I think so, but let me try that. In fact, the best way, and I'm trying to demonstrate another point here, right? Which is that the best way to do to try things the best way to be successful in this age of AI is actually just to try it out, right? And because a lot of it is free, you end up not having a very high cost to experimentation. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch over to another account. I know I don't have a paid plan. Okay. And I'm going to try and code it, see whether I can code it. I think I might be able to get a basic app. So earlier today, this is the long prompt I use. I'm going to copy the prompt over. The prompt here basically said I want to do a deep dive. I want to create a simple app. Okay. And then they did a deep dive. They studied what is needed for such an app, and they created my app. So after the refresh, seemed like the app is back already. But what I want to do is before I go into this app, I'm going to try and copy this prompt and answer this person's question. Let me see. Is this the free version? Oh, the free version actually is down. Let me just double check. Okay, yeah, it's back up. It's a bit glitchy, a bit buggy at the top right hand side. You can see that. I do believe I'm not able to join it. Let me see whether I can add, because I already have my phone number attached to it. I think they won't allow me to have multiple accounts. Give me 1 second. Okay. So the purpose of what I'm doing now is to try and, okay, it doesn't work. But maybe, Kara, I can put in the prompt into the Zoom chat. You can see whether you're able to try with a free Claude account and see whether it works or not. Okay.
Okay.
I see some other questions coming in. Maybe I will touch on those questions first.
Yes.
Okay, so there's one from the Fi Sing. I think it makes sense to subscribe to Pro version to try out before subscribing to the Max. I agree with you. I actually started with the Pro version. Maybe since we are on the page here with all the numbers, right? Let's just very quickly dive into it. I think, yeah, it says here $20 a month if you're getting the Pro plan, $200 you bill upfront. I think a lot of the Max features, right? The Max is the highest tier, $100 or up to $200 a month. Only makes sense if you're doing a lot of coding, right? For most people, that will not make sense at all, right? I would like to show you my usage window. Most of the time, I'm hitting those numbers. Okay, I will stop showing. I forgot I was logged out. Most of the time, you do not hit those numbers for most people. So I think the Pro plan makes a lot of sense. You don't need to get the annual one. But I think if you max it out all the time, you keep hitting the limits, you're dealing with so much work, right? Then of course you can switch to the Max plan anytime. Anytime of the month, then they prorate it. But the Max plan, I think it only started making sense once I started coding with it. Once I started generating a lot of deep research, meaning very long documents explaining very complex things. So let's say retirement, if I want to understand all about retirement in Singapore, overseas, all the policies and all the ways that different countries do it, I want to write a book on retirement, then a Max plan will make more sense. Otherwise, most of the time, a Pro plan, a basic plan is enough. Okay, someone asked, do you need as you need Claude Code if you're using Claude? Sorry. Okay, so someone basically asking, yes, do you want to know whether can you just use Gemini? I think Gemini works really well. Gemini, I think, was working really well somewhere around November when Gemini Pro 3 came out, right? So I enjoy using that. In fact, it produced most of the basic apps I needed very quickly. So I actually agree with the comment from Artovan that if you're looking at just producing simple apps, I think Gemini, which is free, is good enough. But the way I think about it is that actually all the apps ultimately you are going to have to pay for it. Even the $20 that you pay here, actually this is severely underpricing because the actual amount of compute power you get is way more than it's at least 10 to 20 times more than what you're paying. So ultimately, once the whole market stabilizes, meaning the broader market, all these prices will go up, right? So getting a free plan is not really genuinely free. You're just paying for it. Maybe you give over your data for them to use as training. So that's a trade-off you have to be ready. Okay, before more questions come in, I'm just going to quickly go back to the app here. This was the long prompt I had, and maybe let me just very quickly read out the prompt here. The prompt is saying that I'm going to give a presentation, so I'm very, I'm panicking about this session I have today. I want to prepare for it. I want it to be something that is useful for financial advisors when they're talking to the clients about retirement plans. I give the context. Remember earlier on, I said 4 parts, right? What's the output? The output is create an app. Context is Singapore. So we should be referencing things that are relevant in Singapore, because I don't want them to start talking to me about what's the equivalent in the US or in the UK accounts, right? I don't want any of that. I want it to be Singapore based, so I mentioned that. I also came to my mind there should be reference to considerations about retirement age. Some people want to retire early. Sometimes the age requirement also will change over time, and we've seen that more in the recent years as the whole population ages quite rapidly, right? So then I purposely asked for it to do a deep dive first, because remember, it's like you cannot be a good financial advisor without going through all your exams, right? You cannot be a good I don't know, even a parent today. If you want to be a good parent, you have all these books you can learn, or at the very least, you speak to people before you. So having that knowledge first before you jump into doing something, even something that's simple like an app, really helps a lot. And so that's why I prompted here, do a deep dive, think about everything that might be necessary. Okay. Remember, the key here is simple, because I don't want this to take, sometimes a simple app in my mind turns out to be like hours and hours of generation. I don't want that. I want something that can code up in minutes so I can show you guys. It shouldn't be too comprehensive. I have some apps that I built with like 36 pages and there's 36 modules inside, and they are building over 2 or 3 weeks. This is one shot and it should be done. Okay. Ideally, hard coded, can work on offline. This is a bit more technical. Hard coded simply means that I don't want it to change too much every time. I want some of the numbers, some of the items like the age, all that should be inside there right away. Ideally, you can work on simple offline device, so it doesn't have to always be connected to the internet. Although the irony is that cloud itself went down. Okay, so that's a different thing. Okay, so after this, you see, let me try this out one more time and I show you how this works. I take the same prompt, put it in. This is the speed that you will start to see how fast it takes to actually put something like this together, right? It's really very fast. It thinks through so it tells you what exactly it's doing, right? You can click on it if you want to go and read. It basically pull up one thing called skill. This skill is basically how to design something with high quality. All this over time, it will learn from you what you think is important. So this particular skill called front end design skill, I don't think everybody automatically gets this, so it's not going to produce at the same speed. But over time, if you start to emphasize more, I want everything I produce to look good, for example, then you call up the skill. Okay, now then they are doing the deep dive. And as you can see at the bottom right, the button is still asking me to see whether I want to do a stop. That means it's still generating. Okay, what is it doing? Client basic, all this information. I'm just going to jump straight. Okay, see, all the way down, and now they're producing a HTML file, which is very different from the last time round. The last time round, when it produced, when I click on it, it didn't produce a HTML file. It produced a JSX file. JS is just JavaScript. It's just the coding language, right? The last time I ran the exact same prompt, it ended up giving me an app. But because I ran it again, it doesn't come out the same. So when you're using the AI to generate the app, it may not come out the same way. But after that, the app itself should not change, right? So in that way, you can say the app itself will look very different for every financial advisor. But after you've done it already, you store it, it should look the same every time. Okay. If you notice here, I say that see what's happening on budget 2026. So this is another perspective I brought in here, that maybe budget 2026 has something that's related. Okay. So ask you to do another round of research. Some things don't change, they're okay. There's 3 new things. Good to mention, but maybe may or may not be relevant. So it updated the app, and this is actually the updated version. So budget 2026, all the content up there is latest news, right? So all that is updated. And then what I did was that, hey, can you refine it further? Because I thought, and you see, you can see my language here is really very, very simple, straightforward. Can you refine it further so that I can upload what documents like this? Bank statement, DBS, CPF. Right? So these are the files I showed earlier on. I say, great idea. They will talk to me, great idea. You want the app to be something that they can upload content, right? So all that, you don't really have to read it carefully, but you get to the summary part, which is, okay, step 1. Now, there will be a drop zone. So client info, I have a drop zone. This is the uploading of the client document. Step 2, it will auto-detect the type. So let's say I try now, and I upload the mock documents for, let's say, Lim Siu Lan, yeah, by payslip. Extract the data. So which is step 3. Then it extracts all the information I need. All the net salary. So then the numbers I can start to adjust lah. Let's say the monthly savings, I want a bit more cash savings, maybe a bit less or more. Okay, it will auto fill the whole form. Right, then you can view the results. Right, there's a big gap for Madam Lim. Right, if you want to plan to retire retiring at 62 with 27 years to go, these are all the limitations. Right. Okay, so with that, I think this is basically the gist of it. I have made quite a bit of changes. Basically, along the way, I kept changing it a little bit at a time, such that the app gets to a point where I like it the most. And the final change, right, over here, you notice, so this is version 2 versus version 1. Version 1 had a lot of information that you needed to key in, right? Then the client list was here. Maybe I didn't want to have that, right? So in version 2, I made it such that it's very specific to one client. I took out the budget 2026 is not so critical. But the uploading of the document, we try now with maybe David Chen's investment portfolio. Okay, so it detected there was an investment portfolio, extract information, and you just simply review just that part. But here you can see that because there's a bit of a delay, right? It tells me that it's actually using some kind of AI. If there's a delay like that on the local app, chances are it's actually using AI to actually process, right? Then you can generate the analysis, or you can still view basic result with no AI. So what's the retirement outlook? I think this person's profile, this persona is the one with high net worth individual. Okay, right. So this is all it takes. It really isn't a lot of effort. I think I just wanted to maybe, as we come closer to the end here, maybe just to emphasize a few things. Building this retirement app is just the example that we're using this week. Next week, we have other examples. Every week, there's something different on the Monday when I'll be meeting everyone online here on the live stream. 2nd March, today, 9, 16, 23rd. On the other days, there are a lot of other people who are also coming online. They will be sharing more financial advisor specific kind of technical work, domain work. And if you're not too sure about what's coming up, you can actually either follow the Instagram account of Finerty Academy, or you can follow their Telegram group. You get the updates right away on your phone. It's very convenient. Or just, like even subscribe to this YouTube channel and that you're using now to watch this, and you get alerts. I see that there's one more questions coming in. Let me just catch up very quickly. Question: when developing the app, which tab should I be working on? Co-work or code? Okay, let me, I love to talk about cloud quite a lot, so I will go to that. Maybe just to show you my whole screen. Notice up to this point, because retirement app that I'm building here is very, very simple, right? The logic is not simple, but the app building itself is very simple. I've actually built on chat. So chat alone produced the app. Co-work, which I would really like to have the time to go through with you in more careful steps, right? Co-work was the one that produced the mock-up documents for me. Co-work is able to do work within a particular folder. So let's say today, I want to create a new task. I'm going to just very quickly show you co-work. Co-work is actually a consumer-facing version of code. I can't open code here. Code has a bit more, maybe I will hide my left-hand window, so there's a lot of things at the side. Okay, so code, right, basically is really for the developer or for the individuals who don't mind, looking at code, a little bit of code. It will have all the different, it's a lot more flexible, but because a lot of people are not used to code as a first interface, Claude has come up with this co-work, which is a lot easier to use, almost like a chat window. It works on your local folder. So let's say here, let's go back to the retirement app. And I say something like, there is quite a bit of files in this app, this folder. Can you help me understand what's inside? Also, I need you to generate a lot more mock documents for 3 more personas. Okay, let me set that in, then I will read the message in the chat. Okay, so after I say that, Opus 4.6 is the most capable one. 4.6 Sonnet is also enough. So I'll choose Sonnet. I'll leave it to run. So what I'm saying now, there's a lot of files. Help me understand. Number 1. Number 2, generate more documents. I leave it to work. I go away. Now I go to the chat. and I see that someone asked, if Claude and ChatGPT has global outage again, will it affect what we've created? That's a good question. I mean, ChatGPT actually, I think I had a few rounds of outages last year. Uh, Honestly, you're going to find your productivity go up so much, right? That you can take a break. It's okay. Like when Claude went down just now, for half an hour or so, I was talking to someone, that basically I had half an hour break, because Claude is something that I'm using really almost all the time. Um, and when it wasn't working, yeah, it's okay. You just walk away, go touch grass, go and relax for a while, talk to people, do other things. Chances are you're not going to miss much. When you come back, what you have created will still be there. Like what I have created, everything is still there. Um, and then you just continue working from there. I think that's not an issue. There are usually, for these companies, there are multiple data centers and backups, right, across different countries as well. As you know, there's a major war ongoing now. So if you're using something else, another app called Vercel, which I know some of my friends are using, the data centers in Dubai have been hit. So most likely have been hit. I'm not sure that they have been hit, but it's the servers there are not working, right? So sometimes your servers in multiple countries may be affected by a global outage. Sometimes it may be localized to one or two places, and it's okay. Whatever you have, there will be multiple backups. Okay, coming back to co-work very quickly. So it has read my folder. It knows what's inside my folder. It pull up all these files on the right hand side. Yes, it still doesn't have a progress task list because it doesn't know what I want to do. So now it's asking me more questions. Okay, it recommends something. I like this part that it always recommends something and don't just assume I want everything. Full set. Okay, I want a full set of documents. Okay, so it has read that I have these three people in my earlier persona. As you can see, the David Chen was the example that is a high earner, so comfortable retirement. So now they're going to create three new ones, and I answered the question. So again, hands are here. I'm not creating anything. This is happening in real time, and because Claude is back online, it took about 3 hours to fix this. So this is a major outage, 3 hours to fix. But looks like it's fixed already. So now I'm back to being able to use Claude Co-work. It's creating all this for me. I have also used Co-work for many other things. So let's say you've got tons of Excel spreadsheets of different data, or you've got a lot of let's say insurance documents. I think one thing that you probably would definitely find useful if you're a financial advisor is, how do I explain a new policy, a new product, right? You can take the entire PDF, throw into Claude Co-work, say, I want to explain this to my clients. I want to create emails to each one of them, which you can connect at the bottom here. There's this thing called connector. You can connect your email. I say, I want you to create draft email to tell all my clients this is a new product which is useful for them. For each of their scenario, I want you to customize it differently. This is all the information about their background. I want you to create slides. You can say all that. If you can think it, you can imagine it. Co-work can help you create it. Well, that sounds like a very nice sales, but it's actually really what's happening, right? Okay, so while this is happening, so what you're seeing now on this screen here, right? It's writing its own code. This script here is writing its own code, which is this generate mock PD docs.py. Py stands for Python. It's writing its own file, which I will open up because it's really so cool to watch it happen. I'm not sure if you can see it happening here. Okay, you can't see it, but essentially, right, they are writing this number of lines of code to create the PDF. And so far, all I've done is I just gave guidance. I say I wanted this is my guidance. And the guidance also is largely based on their recommendation. Okay. This is the lazy man's super tool now. Lazy man with clear idea will be able to use something like this quite easily. Yeah, but again, I should just say this is not instantaneous. So it would have been really nice if it just dramatically all the documents are there, but it's not. Okay. They have a very clear list on the right hand side. I can comment a particular one. Let's say I want to comment a particular, let's say Mr. Ahmad's PDF. I want to give more guidance. Maybe for Rachel's one, I give a bit more guidance. I can put a plus. I can add in more information. So you can interrupt it. You don't have to leave it to run all the way. So let's say I say I think one is enough. No need 3 more persons. Okay, something like that. You throw it in, it will rethink its order. And I think you see on the right hand side, you see the change coming soon. It'll basically remove the next two and then just switch to one, verify the work is done, and then submit the homework. Okay. I will leave it here. I think just to leave it to run. I'll let it run and finish up. But Kara, do you think this is a good point for us to end for this evening, or do you think there's any more? Are there any more questions coming in? Do you have
So
any questions?
far, I think the session is very informative, and
Mhm.
I myself really enjoy your session. I hope the rest who have stayed throughout for the last 1 hour also enjoy as much as I do. Yeah,
Mm.
so Hao Jun, I'm just very thankful that we have talked about this YouTube live stream,
Mm.
you coming on board to share a lot on the AI, for the last half a year, and finally we really made this wish come true. Yeah,
Yes.
really very thankful. So everyone, Hao Jun is really very skillful in using AI, and he's the founder on the ground. And going forward, next Monday and for the next 4 Mondays, in fact, we will have Hao Jun to share more on how to build insurance, what do you call it? Financial health tool, insurance product comparative tool, and so on and so forth. So there will be a lot of insights that Hao Jun is going to share with you guys, especially those that are from the advisory industry. Yeah, so I think without much further ado, let me just have a last check if there's any more questions. Okay. Okay, if let's say anyone who has further questions and they would like to ask us, just feel free to join this Telegram group chat. Okay, this Telegram group chat, if you can see, there is a QR code here. So everyone will be updated on the upcoming live streams. So we'll be inviting all the veterans for live Q&A sessions, and also sharing of insights such as today's session. And our objective is actually very simple. We just want to continue to build a very strong lifelong learning community that never stops evolving. And we really hope that every one of you can join the Telegram group chat, because upcoming we'll also have other trainers like Firdaus Maslan, who will be sharing on how to penetrate into the Muslim market. And he will share a lot of Sharia compliant tips, not tips, Sharia compliant investment do's and don'ts. So we really hope to see you tomorrow at 3rd of March, on the 3rd of March, Tuesday. We'll be having at 10 p.m. again. And then on the 5th March, we'll be inviting Darren Tan, who is a senior on estate planning. So he will share a lot of the case study and latest developments on estate planning and leaving a lasting legacy for your next generations. Yeah, so I'm going to share the QR code again on the Telegram. So we wish that all of you can join us. Yeah, I think Hao Jun, that's all from me. Is there any other things that you would like to add?
No, all good. We'll meet you again 1 week's time, next Monday.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
so we will see you guys again tomorrow. And also, if you want to join the next session, we'll see you guys again on the coming Monday. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Good
Yeah,
night.
have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.